I just hope one day we wouldn't wake up and discover that a Chinese has become a president of a country. Your Majesties, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for always returning. Thank you to all of you for your support, for all that you do for this community to keep growing. Hope you well in all your ways, Your Majesties, and you're loving yourself and others like always. Thank you to our channel members. Thank you to our anonymous supporters. Thank you to all of you who give us super thanks and other donations. We really appreciate your gesture. All right, I'm taking you to China today. I came across something and I felt like, why not we share here so we drop our opinion. Of course, we know recently, not very recently, before now, China have been trying to have her way in the continent of Africa, and they have succeeded in a lot of ways because prior to this time, the construction company that was in Al Kabulan more, especially in other parts, were not the Chinese company. There were other construction companies. All right, we have Bega and the other ones. Now, China tried their best to have their way into the hearts of the puppet leaders that we have in the continent by trying to force in money to them, by trying to bring, there are other things that did that leaders felt like, okay, this is the best way right now for us to tend to. And because our leaders are so corrupt, they love money so much, they don't care whether they sell their own people, so that they're, what they think is themselves, which we are all aware of already. Now I came across this that China is one of the worst things Africa is going to experience in the years ahead. We are going to listen to that discussion, but before then, um, most of the countries that the Chinese people are residing as it is in most of the countries in Al Chinese are present. Either they are there in the mines or they are there in the construction companies. All right, and when you see heated arguments between Africans and most of these Chinese, you ask yourself, but why should these people be allowed in? There was a video I brought up here where these same people were doing illegal transaction and they were caught. I think it should be in Kenya or Ghana, I've forgotten, but it's one of the African countries where they were caught and they connected them to a lot of illegal deals, illegal businesses that this very group of Chinese people were doing. And there are other parts, other stories which a lot of you have seen it in social media, you've heard about it. Now, when you look at what these people do, and again, there are some of them who have purchased land, like they are landowners right now in the continent of Akibulan. They are landowners. And then you ask, why should people from who are not nationals of the continent of Africa coming to purchase land, to own a land in the continent? Like, these people are not Africans. It's not like they are from Kenya and then they are coming to Nigeria to purchase land. It's not like they are from Uganda and they are coming to other parts to purchase land. It's not like they are from, Tanzania and they are going to Sudan to purchase land. These are people from other continents coming to the African continent to buy land. And majority, like when you begin to see the figures of Chinese that own lands, you ask yourself, what is really happening to us? Why are we doing this to ourselves? Why is our government doing this? Is it the love of money or what? I do not just really get this. And there are some persons that we shouldn't play with as the African people.
Mr. Liu, China is no solution to Africa. China is one of the worst things that Africa will experience in the years ahead. I'm going to give you at least 4 facts. First and foremost, China has an overgrown population that they do not have where to accommodate that population. Africa has virgin land. Africa has arable land for agriculture as well as space to accommodate people. China is envisaging Africa as a place that they will be able to accommodate their overflowing population, since Chinese can easily live in Africa comfortably. And that is China's projection. That's why you see their own approach to Africa is not colonialism. Colonialism actually is coming to Africa to sign treaties, negotiate, and put leaders in question, set up systems, then go back to their country where they control from there. China is not doing colonialism. China is doing buying over. Buying over is an advanced dimension of colonialism. which the colonialist does not live in his place of origin to rule overseas. He comes to dwell where he wants to control. The Europeans did not come to stay in Africa. They came here, set up structures like La Francophonie, Commonwealth, AU, and other structures, put them in place, and then put puppet leaders, while from Europe and America, their treaties and their agreements are controlling Africa. China is not doing that. As a matter of fact, China trades as a nation. China does not trade as individuals. The man who is selling shoe at Dutch there in Douala is selling under the Chinese government. He's not selling as an individual. But the French man that is selling somewhere around Tico, Douala, is selling his business. Now, China does not go into the market, number one, to sell products. China go to buy, win the market. Win the market means they will gain 5 francs for each product and attract everybody towards their direction. Something happened with Jack Ma recently. Jack Ma was sued in China and he paid a sum of $10 million because Jack Ma violated an international law that made him almost a sole trader in almost every app in China. He created more apps and put his product in all the apps. So if you leave TikTok and you are going to Changchun, you will see meet Jack Ma. You leave Changchun, you are going to Ziting, you will meet Jack Ma. So Chinese government caught that. But that's the same thing China is doing. China is putting itself in different apps that is the same product with different names. So China is in Africa not just to colonize. China is in Africa to buy over Africa. That's the first thing. Number two, Chinese in Africa, number two, are buying lands. Europeans did not buy lands. If you come to Cameroon, you will not see former French buildings. You will see former German buildings. And even the companies from France that are operating here, they operate on rented structures. So because the Frenchman is not interested to stay here, he's interested to extract and suck the community, then goes away. The Frenchman does not build infrastructure. The Frenchman comes to suck your resources and go away. China is not coming in that capacity. China is coming to create a space where you will discover that there can be a Chinese village in Africa.
Chinatown.
China has 20 police stations in South Africa to do what? To protect Chinese business. China has 4 generals in the Zambian army to protect what? The Chinese business. The mayor of Lusaka was once sanctioned by Edgar Lungu, who was the former president of Zambia, because a Chinese guy, a Zambian guy, entered into a Chinese restaurant with a Chinese lady to eat, and then the Chinese man chased the Zambian guy out of the restaurant. When the mayor of Lusaka spoke against the Chinese man, the president sanctioned and asked the mayor to apologize to a Chinese man in Zambia. That tells you the infiltration of China in Africa is not just coming as a colonialist. China is coming as a settler. So we cannot trust China. We can't. The next thing that China does is that China is not dealing with raw materials as Europeans do. China goes to the extent of doing the meager job that the common man in Africa does. That is to say, depriving even him that fries puff-puff, he that cultivates tomato, he that cultivates pineapple, and even him that also does fishing around the shores of Cameroon. China is depriving them. The next thing that China is doing, that China is coming with genetically programmed seeds. I want to naked China here. I'm sure they are watching it. They are coming with genetically programmed seeds to put inside the kind of crops we grow here. Our plantains are no longer our plantains. Pineapple that come from Hawaii, the skin is bright. You open it, it is white inside. It's not white. It's genetically programmed seeds. When you eat those seeds, you start reacting, behaving, and acting like the way those seeds want you to be programmed, which is very dangerous. Now, China's approach to Africa also is to establish Chinese dominion by incurring debts. China is an advanced colonial because why? China is coming with a debt strategy. Once you are indebted to somebody, you are a slave to that person. China sold the port of Djibouti and established a military base there. Chinese come to sign contract in Africa in Mandarin, not English. So most of the contracts China signs in Africa, our authorities don't read them because most of them don't understand Mandarin. How do you explain that China want to construct its port in Dar es Salaam and they will run the port for 99 years before handing it to the Tanzanian government? Now this person who was the president, Jakaya Risha Kikwete, read those things and then signed it. Unfortunately, the thing was not completed before Magufuli came to power. Magufuli had to call somebody who understood Mandarin to read it. When he read it, he said only fools can sign such contracts. He annulled the contract. How can a Cameroonian who understands English and French fly to China to sign a contract in Mandarin? It tells you the kind of way we reason. Okay. I'm asking, in the 21st century, Mr. Liu, if our authorities who are learned can still be acting this way, there's something is wrong.
Yeah, but Apostle Ambe seems to be too hard on China. Mambo, don't you think that China may have also helped Africa better than what we experienced with the West?
Mr. Liu, the West, just like China, has never and will never help Africa.
Of course, when it's time for business, we do the business we have to do. Everybody follows what he or she have to do. Have any African person gone to China and buy land to reside in China? If you know of, please, can you leave a comment, leave a link to me. I'm still going to come out here and talk about it. I'm not saying we should kick them off. I'm not saying we shouldn't do business with the Chinese people. What I am bringing out is we have to be prudent in all that we do, in the deals that we sign. Like this other one put me off so much that why will you sign something in a language that you don't even understand? This is international relations. You should use a language that each bodies understand. So this is even one of the red flags. Because at the process of those things you're saying, you don't even understand most of the things that are there. Tomorrow, they're going to tell, okay, this is your signature underneath it. Our leaders are tying us to something that we ourselves are not knowing. And if we as citizens are not opening our eyes and standing up, I just hope one day we wouldn't wake up and discover that a Chinese has become a president of a country in Alkebulan. Because, of course, when they have a Chinatown, they want to have a China mayor. They have police stations around the continent, Chinese police stations, to judge their own Chinese. And in China, is there African police station that judge African people? You know, we don't consider these things, we don't weigh these things. And at the end, you come out crying and shouting. What do you think, Your Majesties? Leave your comment and thought there at the section, and I'll see you in my next one. Until then, love yourself, love others. Stay safe, stay positive. Always Your Majesties. Bye for now.